Our reporters on the ground reporting fearlessly right through what appears to be an escalating situation in Ukraine, especially in the city of Kharkiv, but also a threat to Kiev city. Rajesh Pawar, Gaurav Sawant, Pawan Kumar doing an amazing job reporting on the streets of the cities that are under siege at this point of time. Rajesh, Kharkiv besieged under relentless attack at this point of time. There is, people are wondering if this city is about to fall into Russian hands. What are you hearing from your networks, Rajesh?
Look, Shiv, as we talk, fierce fighting is going on in Kharkiv, in Donetsk province, in Lugansk, in Kherson, in Mariupol, in Odessa. In fact, fierce fighting is on as we speak in entire east and southern Ukraine now.
Yes.
Russia has launched a full-fledged conventional attack on the entire east and southern front of Ukraine. As far as Kyiv is concerned, as of now, it looks like quiet. There were 2 explosions in the morning, but as of now, it seems quiet. And there are reports that a huge mechanized force of Russia is awaiting on the doorsteps of Kyiv, awaiting orders to attack Kyiv anytime. As far as the destruction of tanks, which you reported just now outside Kyiv is concerned, I cannot verify these reports. I have not received any such information from anywhere so far. So I cannot verify it. It may be true, maybe a part of propaganda. But it won't be surprising to me if these tanks would have been destroyed, because a large number, thousands of Javelin missiles have been supplied by NATO countries to Ukraine, and which have been given even to militia. And you don't need big military training to operate these missiles. They are very sophisticated anti-tank guided missiles, and anybody can use them, and they can destroy a tank in a matter of seconds with very little training and without much risk. Over to you.
Rajesh, the military convoy that you were talking about that's outside Kyiv, there is a missile threat as well to Kyiv. We've seen some, outlying areas of Kyiv that have been attacked in shelling and rocket fire as well. Just describe for us, what is the nature of this new threat? We understand there were 2 explosions this morning as well.
Look, Shiv, we were expecting some kind of heavy firing yesterday, heavy shelling last night, because the whole evening when I was reporting, if you could hear, there were air sirens were going off all the time. So we were expecting heavy shelling last night, but nothing of that sort happened. Only 2 explosions last night and 2 in the morning, and a third one when I was reporting for Aaj Tak, explosions were heard. Besides this, there was no shelling in Kyiv as of now. And the reason for that, I think, is the second round of talks, which is going to happen today evening on the Poland-Belarus border between the representatives of Russia and Ukraine. Probably they are waiting for some kind of outcome of this second round of talks. And if they fail, which most likely they will, there will be probably a full-scale offensive launched against Kyiv. Over to you.
Because there is a sense. I know you're closed out to the outside media right now because you're in a city that could be under siege very soon, Rajesh. But there is a sense that even though there is no deadline for this invasion, that time is running out. It's already been 1 week. Today happens to be 1 week since the military operations began from Russia's side, and there may be some kind of a pressure on Putin to achieve some of the big military objectives that he may have set out to achieve, because 7 days is a long time. The world has piled on a lot of pressure, and he may be cornered now into try and having to show something for it now.
Look, it was expected. Nobody expected Ukraine to fold up in 2 days.
Yeah.
1 week or probably 10 days was what was expected even initially. But yes, I agree with you. The war has not exactly turned out in the direction in which probably Russia planned. It has taken a totally new turn. And let me remind you, Shiv, this is a modern day warfare. It is not a conventional war. It is not just a military conflict. This war has many facets. And the most important facet is not the military one. The most important is the psychological one, the information warfare. And this is a warfare where Russia seems to be losing big time, because Russian media, Russia Today, and all other Russian media outlets have been totally banned in whole of North America, Australia, and Europe. And there is no way Russia can in any way build its own narrative now, can reach out to people and tell its point of view. So it will be a total propaganda campaign run by Americans and the NATO, and there's no way Russia can counter this. So on this front,
Yeah.
Russia has almost totally lost. And another very important point which I want to make for you is that right now, if Putin wants to speak to the public, the people in Ukraine, he cannot do that. He's been totally blacked out. Russian media is totally. Whereas Zelensky can still speak to his sympathizers in Russia who have been protesting in various cities against this war. Over to you.
Rajesh, one final question before I let you go. You know, the bombing of that TV tower in Kyiv yesterday, we saw those pictures in which 5 people reportedly died in that particular attack. Apparently, there's been a blackout in many TV broadcasts and communications. Are you getting the sense that this could be the beginning of a larger communication blackout? Could this be part of the larger sort of end game plan of this invasion?
Look, Shiv, whenever a war takes place, the invading army has some strategic targets which they would like to destroy before they launch a physical offensive on ground. And these strategic targets include communication centers, power plants, water supply plants, nuclear plants, dams, military headquarters, depots, storage places. So these are all strategic targets. Railway stations. I was not allowed to go yesterday inside the metro station, which is being used as a shelter, bomb shelter, because they said I cannot film it there because it's a strategic target. So a TV tower is very much in the category of strategic targets, which was targeted yesterday, but there is no blackout as such. The place where I'm staying, in another place where I can see there's a TV there, it is still being broadcasted, and I still have internet. I'm talking to you, right?
Yes.
So there is no blackout as such, and Kyiv is functioning except for that it is under siege. Otherwise, the normal amenities, normal facilities which civilians enjoy are still very much going on. Over to you, Shiv.
Okay, the civilian amenities are still very much going on. You know, we've seen many checkpoints. We've seen civilians, making Molotov cocktails, that sort of thing in different parts of the city. Tell us a little bit about the citizen effort because, you know, Rajesh, we've seen many citizens pick up rifles, the territorial defense centers. They've asked for international participation in, the ground forces right now. Russia has basically said that this is just another way of using civilians as human shields, and therefore Ukrainian civilians picking up weapons to defend their country is basically going to ensure collateral damage. That's what Russia is trying to say. How do you see that?
Look, as I told you, the most important component of this war is not military, it is information. And Russia seems to be losing that war big time, even if it has made some gains in the military, on the military aspect of this war. I give you an example for this to prove this point. When the war started, or just before the war started, I interviewed a lot of people around here in Kyiv, which was broadcasted on India Today and Aaj Tak, and 90% people said that they are brothers. Russians and Ukrainians are brothers. They don't want a war. They will never have a war, and they don't want this war. So the general mood of the public was that this war should not be there, and we are one. And some people also said it is probably America which want brother to fight another brother.
Yeah.
But because of the total dominance of information today and total narrative building being done by America and NATO and not permitting Russia to build its narrative, things have changed on ground. People who were not so hostile towards Russia a week back are now very hostile, because when the pictures and videos of children getting injured and people dying around are streamed relentlessly across Ukraine, it has changed the narrative. And a lot of people are now very anti-Russia, and especially young people. Young people are more emotional and more, they are the ones who said now, because Russia is doing this to us, we will not let Russians escape Kyiv alive, and we will fight till the end. So the narrative has totally changed, and Russia seems to be losing this information warfare as of now.
The great deal of information warfare, you're absolutely right. It's been waged in a huge way. And like you rightly said also, this is a perfect example of a hybrid war. Even though the conventional war component is increasing before our eyes. You've seen it. We've seen it in all of these cities. Like you're saying, the southern and eastern parts of Ukraine are bearing the brunt of some of the most fearsome fighting, the conventional, the most visible aspect of the war, which is the actual fighting being seen in many of these places, most notably Kharkiv. Thanks very much, Rajesh. Stay safe. We'll keep coming back to you. There's a missile threat in Kyiv. We'll get an update on that also in just a short while from now. Air raid sirens continue to ring in the city of Kyiv, the capital, and the encirclement of the city of Kharkiv is continuing. Two cities that we're looking at very closely, because what happens in the next 24 hours could dictate what happens to Ukraine. We're taking a very quick break. We're back with our coverage non-stop here on India Today.